characters folder when we're done here. Looks like Adam's taking a break. Or is he done for today? Alright, well maybe I can, you know, get this stuff fixed in there for him. Let's actually just do the disconnect from source control thing real quick, because we're not using it anyway. Alright, let's do our import and make sure that we're getting all the animations we want. There's a whole lot of animations to import for Buddy, so yeah. You know, this thing is just processing a whole lot. So yeah, this is just making tons of sprites. So I can't really follow what everything's going on inside of Unreal, but the log is there, importing all the things one after another. Because it just does a ton of operations. Like, it's having to make all these textures, having to copy them, it's having to set all the import stuff. Yeah, it's an 8-core, but it's got 16 logical processors or whatever, like an 8-core dual-core sort of situation. I could have more, but yeah, that's what I've got. And it works well enough that usually most of the time everything else is the bottleneck, like memory is a bottleneck, or CPU is a bottleneck, or something else. And that actually does help. A lot of game development stuff, you really need a bunch of cores. Maybe not running games, but You need a lot more RAM and a lot more CPU. And most of the time with game development, it's disk bound. Like, you need a good disk. Yeah, most of the time we wouldn't be importing everything all at once. Like, you should just be importing just single animations and doing stuff like that. But since Adam's done so much work on Bitey since the last time we imported him into the game, there's just a whole bunch of stuff. So once we get over that one hump there and get Bitey going, on 30 core server CPUs, well, I could, but that would be money, right? And I don't exactly have a job that pays me money right now. You know, I have a job that doesn't pay money, which is not the best kind of job. So that's kind of what I have to go with right now. You know, if I had a whole hell of a lot of money, sure. But, you know, we got what we got. Self-employed isn't the life. Being self-employed is the life. It's just, it's not a life that pays super well. You know, you're not actually like making money. So yeah, still a bunch of just saving all these assets. I mean, there's a lot of freaking assets to work with. And if we didn't have an export process, like imagine making all of this shit by hand. Like that's what you'd be doing. You know, we just wouldn't be able to make the game in Unreal if we didn't have an import process for all these sprites and everything else. Because, I mean, just look at it. That's how many files you'd have to hand edit. You know, one at a time, pretty much. Because you'd have to edit their collision on a per frame basis and stuff like that. So you just wouldn't, you know, you would just use like the first frame collision, and then all the animations would have to have, you know, you'd have different animations for different collision states. It would just be a mess. And there we go. There's gigantic Bitey with lighting on him. So yeah, he does look really cool. Like he's got the lighting very nicely on him with the normals. I mean, he looks a little plasticky because you know the normals with Unreal. I mean, Harmony are just auto-generated, so they're they're a little bit plastic. But I mean, just ignore all the emissive layer shenaniganry. You know, he's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna call that good to go, and I'm gonna kick that back over to Adam, so he can mess with it. Oh yeah, he's totally in there. And we're going to need to delete everything inside of our Bitey, like our content, characters, Bitey folder. I'm just going to delete everything in here and re-download it from Perforce. So hopefully he'll get my message shortly. It says he's online, but that's just his computer there. So he'll get it when he gets it. Alright, we've gotten all of our stuff, so let's just boot it up and make sure that we have all the right stuff going on. When he gets back online, I'll probably talk to him and make sure he's got everything going proper. Yeah, that looks correct. And we're gonna get out of that. Alright, so what do we need to do next? We need a photo booth character. Like, basically what we want to be able to do is we want this character right here. We want kind of, I guess, a photo booth flipbook is what we want. We want to have a nice area that you can test out. Kind of what something is going to look like with lighting and make sure that you have it all properly set up. So I think it's going to be a flipbook that we can import from any of our animations. And we're going to need to export it as well. So let's write down what we need to do in order to do this. So in order to create photo booth character, the idea here is basically we'll have something that's very easy to use, where we can basically, you can take an animation and very easily see what it's going to look like in the game without doing a whole bunch of bullshit. Like, let's say Adam's working on Bitey, he can just draw him out and then hit a button to export him as the photo booth character, and it just works. Just boom, real quick, and he can just boot up the game and re-import it. It's very quick and easy to use. So we're going to need a Harmony export script for photo booth character. I guess it could be an actual character animation. So it'd be like, so you could use the same import process. We basically need to hook up the proper assets in Unreal 4 to use that specific character. Do we want more than one animation? I think it's just, like, we could have an actual entity that we're using, but I think that's probably overkill. Just like animation 1. So I think it's going to be just as simple as changing the Harmony export script to have, like, should we have another script entirely for it, or just maybe a button that's export as photo booth character, just another actual button. I think an actual button would be the best way to solve this. So let's get our UI as well. And we're gonna want to use FatSec for this, I'm pretty sure. So I like to work in things that Atom is not working in. So let's see where our export is. So Harmony uses Qt widget stuff for UI. So we edit the XML, which changes the UI, and then we can hook into it inside of our JavaScript page. It's not the best thing ever, but it is something. Could call this the button export photo booth. So it's calling a function when it gets clicked. So basically what I'm going to call is I'm going to call this .export callback, but I'm going to set like photo booth to true in our global params. So we're going to set like var_g export to photo booth equals false. Are you trying to make me hungry, Karakin? That's how you make me go on break. So the photo booth character should have, I guess we're exporting everything you want to the photo booth character, and I mean, we specifically want only one animation, so it's going to be like var_g photo booth animation equals photo booth. So we only want the actual photo booth thing, so the photo booth character equals photo booth. Brain needs sugar, yeah, that's true. Alright, so we're actually going to do it here. So if I is greater than 0 and export to photo booth, then we're going to break. So we're only going to export one animation if you're in photo booth mode. Alright, so what are we going to do? We want to make sure that, like, we're going to get our current animation stuff as normal. But I guess this is the one right here, so it's going to be render normals, so name, so if export to photo booth, otherwise we're going to change our export route. Our export route is going to be photo booth character. So export route is going to go in there, and we do take export route for everything, so we might be done with that sort of thing. And name, so we're going to say, like, we're actually going to do the same thing here. Name equals RG photo booth name. Will have to be a fan meetup for Brackenwood? Jeez. That's gonna be difficult, right? Because, like, if I'm gonna go to that and Adam's gonna go to it, it's gonna have to be on some continent. You know, like, there's Brackenwood fans all over the world. That's a big problem. Alright, so our name's going to be different. So prepare exports folder, export display, export all these things. Like, theoretically, I think we might be done with this. So why don't we just see if it works and that sort of thing. So let's try to export photo booth. Has to be in Australia. Adam won't fly. Yeah, that's probably true. Or you could just have everybody come in on Twitch. Alright, so the photo booth stuff is all here. There's no emissives for this one. Let's pick one that has emissives. So where are the emissives for this guy? This guy has, I think, just the S-Dig animation. Hunt him down in the mountains. I don't think he'd be too appreciative of fans hunting him down in the mountains. I'd watch out. Adam might take exception to such behavior. You might find that it is you who are the hunted, if that is your plan. All right, so if we import, we should be able to go ahead and import just the photo booth character. So let's see what we can do with that. Yeah, he does not take kindly to that. I'm pretty sure he's already quite handily equipped there for trespassing shenanigans. I would not try it. That is not a challenge. Alright, so with the photo booth character we have this. So what we want to do here for this is change the source flipbook on every one of these dudes here. There's a fat sack proxy in the scene. Well, we don't need that. We'll get rid of him. The assets you want are currently being modified. Wait, what? The photo booth level is checked out by Adam? What? You son of a bitch. Big YouTubers, people not to come to their houses? Well, yeah, I think that hopefully wouldn't need to be said. So Adam's got these two things checked out. Well, let's take a look at what he's got checked out. How come I'm not seeing his? Not seeing his files inside of this. Well, maybe for some other reason. Alright, so we're going to make a new file, a new level called Photo Booth Pro, and then Adam's Photo Booth is going to be defunct and nobody will use it because Photo Booth Pro is better than Photo Booth. So let's just update all of our flipbooks here to the correct place. Alright, let's save it. And let's build a lighting port. You're asking somebody who's into dragons if they like reading fantasy books? Well, I'd say there's probably at least a little bit of interest there. Alright, so some of the things that we're going to want to do here is make some lighting, make some more things for our photo booth. Let's see, we should make a folder called lights. We'll throw all of our lights inside of that folder. Let's make another folder called characters. Throw everything inside of that. So let's go ahead and this is all saved. So we're going to go into our stuff here, and we're gonna export a different animation as our I'll export this animation. And we want to make sure that our character import tool it's pretty slow for adding stuff. I mean, it's because adding all the files at once. Because we're not adding all the files at once. That's pretty annoying. Like that should not have taken that long at all. But yeah, that's looking kind of like what we want. But I'm not happy with the character importer tool. And it's the sprites that are the problem. So I create all sprites for, because it's for like this create sprite for blah. Alright, so we're like getting that asset, getting it, create asset or update sprite information. Man, that's just fucking annoying. So it's going to be inside of the asset tools create asset. So let's see if there is a iAsset tools. There's no create asset. There's no create assets function, so I can't just make all these at once, which is kind of annoying. So let's see if there's any sort of source control settings stuff that we can take a look at. And maybe what we can do is figure out where that actual source control setting stuff gets changed. And maybe we can call in and turn it off for a second, and then when we save it can do something about it. It probably can. It probably can't do anything. So it's basically, if you're going to do it the slow way, you're going to do the slow way. Alright, well, fine. I don't want these all to show up here though, so why don't we change that? Pretty sure that has to do with let's see what this sync browser to assets call actually does. Selects the supplied assets in all content browsers. If locked browsers too, even locked browsers may handle the sync. Only true if the sync doesn't assume external. Yeah, I would rather not have this happen. I'd rather have it leave your assets as they were. So character import, and we should also change the effect import as well. The effect importer shouldn't do that. We don't need to actually show all the modified assets, that's just not very helpful. It's more annoying than helpful. So for the photo booth, we're going to need a few more things, it looks like. We're probably going to want a few more things set up, like a few more lights that we can deal with. So we need like a global light, and so we need like a global light and then a directional light probably as well too. So you can kind of toggle those on and off and see what happens to everything in the scene. Because that's what I believe probably would be good. So we'll rebuild our editor here real quick. And then do that. believe you forgot an up on that sentence. Up until now, it only has those local light sources, which are not super great. All right, so I should be able to just be on this for the asset, do the character import, only import the photo booth character. And then go over to our photo booth pro level. And everything should look correct. So let's get a light, a directional light. We'll throw it at 0, 0, 0. Actually 0, 0, like, 1,000 or something. And see, it should be, I'd imagine something like this. So let's see, the intensity, if we ratchet it way up, we kind of just want it low, so like maybe 3. Yeah. I think I got your stuff anyway. So let's see exactly what we can do. So a stationary object, cast modulated shadows. Whether light should cast modulated for dynamic, also cast shadows should be set control. Well, we want cast shadows and all that stuff, and I think you can toggle it on and off by doing this like effects world and setting that to true or false. So let's build the lighting on this and make sure that it's still working properly. And we'll, just throw a whole bunch of stuff around here. So we have plenty of little scenes, like there's an indoor area and an outdoor area, right? And we can kind of set up little things that we need to set up. Fazak breeding pen? I don't know. That's a scary thought. Alright. And we probably need 2 different folders. We need like a folder for global lights, and then something for, specific lights. And what are some of the others? There's like a skylight. Okay, I really don't know what skylights are all about. So let me just read real quick. Skylight Unreal 4. So let's see. A skylight captures the distant parts of your level and applies that to this scene as light. That means the sky's appearance and its lighting reflections will match, even if your sky is coming from atmosphere or layered clouds on top of a skybox or distant mountain. The skylight will only recapture the scene when you rebuild lighting or manually tell it using update reflection captures recapture scene. I like how I literally can't tell much of the difference at all, and the only thing that's happening is these reflections. So it's like the skylighting is just a reflective light off of the scene. It has to do with the basic stuff of getting lights from blah. Well, that is unfortunate, Lucas. Just people trying to do their job. Trying to find whoever that person is. You thought it was your package. No, just somebody dying. Oh, well, I don't give a shit then. First world problems. Alright, so for a skylight, we're going to need a lot more stuff, aren't we? It uses an ambient cube map to represent the sky's light. So obviously there's going to be more stuff that we need to get for a skylight to work properly. So it needs I guess we need an actual sky box or something, right? What is this blueprint sky sphere? It's inside of just basic sky sphere. Let's see if we update the reflection captures, if we actually get anything. Okay, we do. Okay, so now we actually do have a sky. And it is... Okay, cool. So with this sky sphere... What can we actually do with this sky sphere? We can change the sun height. So if it's at 0, can we rotate the... Okay, yeah, we can rotate. So why don't we rotate it 90 degrees? So the sun rises in the west and sets in the east, right? That's what we want? No. We want it rising in the east and setting in the west. Alright, so that doesn't do anything. And so if we change the sun height, are there any clouds? Okay, so we do have clouds, okay. Sun brightness. Trying to tinker with all these things. What's the horizon fall off? I'm trying to like more easily look at the sun and look at everything else. And it's not working because I keep thinking that the sun is going to change its position. And it's like, no, I need to change my position. I don't see anything with the horizon fall off. So you can mess with all these sorts of settings. That's pretty cool. So let's recompute our, update our reflection cameras. So let's see, if we change the sun height to like here, we get nothing. Super bright sun. Don't look directly at it. Alright, so that looks pretty cool. So if we had like super bright sun and all that sort of stuff, we'll be able to see it. Now the issue here is, like, why don't we have shadows inside of here? Like, sure, we've got these, but I guess it's coming from like out there. We'll just rebake our lighting real quick entirely. Adam is actually back. Well, we can always pop over and say hello. Though I assume he'll probably read my message before anything else. Alright, so looks like it did rebuild a little bit, but these guys are still getting lit a little bit more than I want. So the shadow is coming in. Like, we've got the shadow from... Like, if we had shadows, like, the sun is supposed to be there, I would expect there to be a shadow here. And this looks like fully lit. I mean, we do have the directional light coming in kind of in through here, which is where this shadow's coming from. So it's more of this, like, skylight is not casting shadows. So I'm trying to... Alright, so we're supposed to have if the skylight casts shadows or not. So we have, like, cast shadows is on. Alright, so supposedly it is casting shadows. I really don't see it casting shadows, though. Like, it appears that, like, the light is coming from all directions or something like that.